Okay, so we continue reading Bhagavad Gita, introduction, page number 10, and I will begin. The distinction between the Jiva and the Ishvara will be explained in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The Lord is Kshetra Gya, conscious, as is the living being, but the living being is conscious of this particular body, whereas the Lord is conscious of all the bodies. So Jiva is the soul, and Ishvara is the Lord. So it's a super soul. Therefore, Kshetragya conscious. So it is explains that Bhagavad Gita is explaining to us that the Lord is conscious of everything, past, future, present, all of the bodies, right? All of the living entities of everything, while we are just conscious of our particular body. Because he lives in the heart of every living being, so the Lord is in the heart of every living being, he's conscious of the psychic movement of the particular jivas. So he's conscious of our desires, our feelings, our intentions, everything that we keep in our heart and mind. We should not forget this. It is also explained that the Paramatma, which is the super soul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is living in everyone's heart as Ishvara. So the Lord is living in everyone's heart in the form of Paramatma. It's called as Ishvara, as the controller, and that he is giving directions for the living entity to act as he desires. So, in other words, the Lord authorizes us. We have a desire, he directs us, and he authorizes us to act the way we desire. The living entity forgets what to do. First of all, he makes a determination to act in a certain way, and then he is entangled in the actions and reactions of his own karma. So the karma is entangling, and karma is governed by the modes of material nature. Do you remember what are the modes of material nature?
Um,
So it was at the beginning on page number 8, the material energy. Who can read that? What is the material energy? And it also explains what are the modes of material nature.
it says, we are trying to control nature as presently we are trying to control space or planets, and have this tendency to control is there because it is in Krishna.
Oh,
I see the mode of goodness, or is that material nature? Is that right?
yes.
The mode of
So,
goodness, the mode of passion, and the mode of ignorance.
okay. So where did you find it? On page number 8?
Yes, in the third paragraph.
Exactly. Can you read it, please?
Yep, material nature itself is constituted by three qualities: the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, and the mode of ignorance.
Exactly. So material nature is constituted by the three modes, right? So these modes, they are the qualities of material energy. So the purest quality is goodness, less pure is passion, and the lowest is ignorance. Okay. So our karma can be in goodness, in passion, and in ignorance. Okay. And we are influenced by those modes. So therefore, when it says our actions, we get entangled in our actions and reactions, it means that we become lost under the influence of the modes of material nature. So if it's a mode of goodness, how we get entangled?
Um, Maybe we could get like have a big ego.
We may have big ego, yes. How else? We have a tendency to be what? To be proud, right?
Mhm.
We get attached to that pride, achievements,
Yeah.
okay? Knowledge, highest of all. I want to be the best. I want to be the highest of all, right? And at the same time, these people are very knowledgeable who are in goodness, but still entangled by their pride, by their ego, by their, what is it called? Identification with their roles, like a teacher, a professor, I'm a doctor, and I'm proud of it, right? And just take away that position, they may feel low, they may feel bad, right? Because there is lack of basically confidence without that self-identification. Okay, in the mode of passion, how people get entangled.
Greed.
Yes, so they are greedy and they become very attached to the results, and the results are more important than anything else. Okay, so and then what happens? They become workaholics, shopaholics. They don't have any boundaries and they exhaust themselves and fall down into the mode of ignorance because they get sick and exhausted. So that's how we get entangled in between our actions and reactions in our own karma. After giving up one type of body, he enters another type of body as we take off and put on the clothes. So, in other words, the body is compared here with the clothes that we take on and put off. Once the clothes becomes old and doesn't function well, we leave it and then we change it, right? As the soul does migrate, he suffers the actions and reactions of his past activities. So basically, once the body is left, there are the results of our activities that are waiting for us after death. Okay? So once we leave the body, the activities, the result of these activities, they are waiting for us. What is so funny?
She didn't know where we were on the page.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Figured it out. So now she knows.
All right. Okay. So, yes. All right. So the results of our activities, the majority of them will come after death, after leaving this body.
Okay.
All right. And that's how our next destination will be determined. Therefore, it is said here, he suffers the actions and reactions of his past activities as the soul thus migrates. So during that process, these activities can be changed when the living being is in the mode of goodness. So the activities can be changed only in the mode of goodness. Why do you think it can be changed in the mode of goodness?
Because that's like the highest mode.
It is the purest, and when it is the highest and the purest, what does it give, which is not available in the other
Like
modes?
spiritual connection.
Mode of goodness doesn't give spiritual connection because it's also karmic, it's material. But if you are living pious life, like if you're, you're not, um, basically you're following the law, right? You get educated.
Yeah.
What does it give to you?
Like good habits.
Good habits. What else?
Good karma.
Our habits is our karma.
Mhm.
Yeah. So good habits. What else? Good health, right? It's also our karma. People with bad health means that they are under the influence of the mode of ignorance. Okay. Then what else?
Maybe like happiness.
Happiness connected to the results, like based on pride and achievements, not unconditional happiness, because unconditional happiness is available only on the spiritual platform. All right. So, but a little bit of happiness, yes. And what else? Intelligence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Knowledge. Okay. And with this, what else comes? So just compare when a person is sick, bad habits, right? Doesn't know how to behave and etc.
Yeah.
How much he can do to change.
He can't really do much because he's not in the mindset.
Exactly. He might not have the knowledge. He might not have enough strength, health, right?
Mm-hmm.
In other words, the mode of goodness gives more freedom of choice.
Okay.
Okay? The mode of passion, the mode of ignorance doesn't give any freedom of choice. So the less freedom of choice in the mode of passion and no freedom of choice is in the mode of ignorance. Material mode, like material choice. Okay, spiritually, we can choose at any time, chant Maha Mantra and read Bhagavad Gita, even in the prison, doesn't matter, right? But materially, no. So the activities can be changed when the living being is in the mode of goodness. So if you want to change your life,
Yeah.
Is everything all right? Because I'm seeing destruction here.
Don't sit down.
Yeah, what's wrong?
Are you?
Is everything all right? Yes?
Yeah, everything's okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, in the mode of goodness, insanity, in other words, and understand what sort of activities he should adopt. So, the intelligence allows, okay, to adopt proper activities. If he does so, then all the actions and reactions of his past activities can be changed. So, in other words, what can be changed?
No, yeah,
If
actually,
actions and reactions can be changed, then what?
Karma?
Ah,
Karma? Your karma?
exactly. Yes. Karma gets changed. Okay? When we are in the mode of goodness, we can change our karma by changing our activities. If you want to change anything, you need to be in the mode of goodness at least. Once you go into the onto the spiritual level, all of the karma goes away. You're free. You're karma free. Okay?
Okay.
Consequently, karma is not eternal. So karma is not eternal. Therefore, we stated that of the five items, Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, time, and karma. So Ishvara means the Supreme Personality of God, and Jiva means the soul. Prakriti means
Oh, the nature?
material nature, yes, time, and karma, our actions and reactions. Four are eternal. So Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, and time, they're eternal. Whereas karma is not eternal. Okay, it comes and goes depending on our activities. All right, so let's read next paragraph.
The supreme conscious Ishvara is similar to the living entity in this way. Both the consciousness of the Lord and that of the living entity are transcendental. It is not the consciousness is generated by the association of matter. That is a mistaken idea. The
So
theory
let's just stop here, right? Both our consciousness and the consciousness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead
Yeah.
are transcendental. So they are eternal. Our consciousness is eternal, and the Lord's consciousness is also eternal. Mhm.
The theory that consciousness develops under certain circumstances of material combination is not accepted in the Bhagavad Gita. Consciousness may be pervertedly reflected by the covering of material circumstances, just as light reflected through colored glass may appear to be a certain color, but the consciousness of the Lord is not materially affected. Lord Krishna says, Mayada Ksina Prakrit. When he descends into the material universe, his consciousness is not material affected. If he were so affected, he would be unfit to speak on transcendental matters as he does in the Bhagavad Gita. One cannot say anything about the transcendental world without being free from materially contaminated consciousness.
So wisdom is not available to those who are materially contaminated. The Lord is not, Lord's consciousness is not materially contaminated, so thus he is able to speak Bhagavad Gita. Mhm.
So the Lord is not material contaminated. Our consciousness at the present moment, however, is materially contaminated.
So how do you understand that consciousness that is materially contaminated? What is your understanding?
That our consciousness is like influenced by all the material nature and everything
that
surrounded us.
we'll never have like a pure consciousness in the material world
Because there's so
Mhm.
many distractions.
and influences.
Yeah, so what is the influence? How is it getting influenced?
Like the mode of ignorance, for example. Or like,
Yes, so it gets influenced by the modes of material nature.
yeah.
And how do we attract that influence? What is our part? What is our role in that?
Being like greedy or lustful, like certain feelings where we like want more.
It's actually even even simple things can attract a certain mode. So for example, there are food types in different modes of material nature. Okay, if we eat some food,
Yeah.
and if that food is in the mode, like a certain mode of material nature, we will get under the influence of that mode. For example, if you eat spicy food, what is the mode of material nature of spicy food?
Ignorance.
If it's if it's passion spicy, too much spice, it can be passion.
Oh,
Okay. And once you eat that kind of food, right, you become influenced by the mode of passion. And you will be surprised how you might be if you like constantly do that. You become attached to things, you will start ignoring certain things, will stop noticing the like subtle things such as emotions. Emotional intelligence won't be there because passion doesn't consider emotions and feelings, you know. But greed will develop, anger will develop, things like that, just because of eating food. Or another example, if you watch, for example, a movie with a lot of activities, like fights, what kind of mode is that?
Violence,
If there is violence, so what kind of mode of material nature is this?
ignorance,
Yes,
anger.
violence is ignorance. If you see the sufferings, ugly things, right? Pain, it is ignorance. If you see a lot of activities like people are running, fast events, a lot of effects, this is passion. Okay. So this combination will give us the influence of both passion and ignorance. And what's going to happen? The events will be in passion, or the events can be in ignorance. Like, for example, people get bullied. Why? Some people get bullied, some people don't get bullied. So, bullying is ignorance. Okay. If the person is under the mode of ignorance, he will attract bullies because bullies are also under the mode of ignorance. If the person is under the mode of passion, he will attract people in the mode of passion or circumstances or events. So the modes of material nature, they create thoughts, samskaras, circumstances. Everything is created by them. And
So
then
are
as
the
a what?
are the modes temporary?
Modes, they are, no, they're not temporary because they are the qualities of material nature. They are eternal.
Okay.
Yes, but we attract them by choosing what to eat, what to watch. Okay, we have five senses, so those modes influence us through our senses. Like if we are seeing things in a certain way, we attract a certain mode of material nature. If we are listening to something, right, we attract the mode of a certain nature, and that mode will start creating. Like, for example, a child who watches a horror movie later on will have nightmares
Yeah.
because he will be influenced by the mode of ignorance.
Yeah.
And that mode of ignorance will not only give him the nightmares, fears, anxieties, negative people around, okay, and different circumstances related to dangers. It can be life danger, dangerous situation, things like this. So we have to be very careful because karma is created by the modes of material nature. And karma is our action. Our actions can be in different modes. Actions for the benefit of others is in the mode of goodness. Actions where we want to lie to someone, be inattentive and etc., can be in the mode of passion and ignorance. So at the same time, that therefore these modes they get mixed. So while we're in the class, probably we're in the mode of goodness, but then once we get out of the class, we can be in passion and ignorance. And therefore our karma becomes mixed. And then we get the circumstances that are in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. And then it becomes our choice. What kind of life we want to live, what kind of life quality we want to have, what kind of people we want to have around us. So we need to focus, it's our conscious choice. That's how we choose through our activities and how we engage our senses. So Bhagavad Gita explains to us that once we engage all our senses and activities in transcendental service, at that moment, the modes of material nature do not influence us. We are fully protected. The whole world can be burning, you will be safe. And there are so many examples for that, especially in the places like with difficult situation, for example, in the country, right? And something happens, but the person is praying and the only house survives because the person was not in the mode of ignorance. Everybody is dead, but he is okay. There are many examples given by Srila Prabhupada about it as well. Okay, because he traveled around the world and he also he has a lot of stories. All right, so let's continue.
Our consciousness at the present moment, however, is materially contaminated. The Bhagavad Gita teaches us that we have to purify this materially contaminated consciousness. In pure consciousness, our actions will be
Dovetailed.
dovetailed to the will of Ishvara, and that will make us happy. It is not that we have to cease all activities, rather, our activities are to be purified, and purified activities are called bhakti.
Yes.
Activities,
So purified activities are called bhakti. Bhakti, what does it mean, bhakti?
Is it like when you do a service, but you do it for God?
Yes, so action, right? Selfless service, selfless action for the satisfaction of the Lord is called bhakti. In other words, bhakti is love that comes through your heart, and you want to do something for the Lord because you love Him, not because you have to. So when you have to, it's not bhakti. When somebody told you, it's not bhakti, right? It's still better than not doing, of course.
Yeah.
But bhakti is when you have your own desire, when you are self-motivated. This is bhakti. When bhakti comes, it means that your heart is pure and it means that the Lord gave you the mercy. We cannot get bhakti through our efforts. We can practice spirituality for 20 years and not have bhakti. Okay? But if we practice spirituality sincerely and get the mercy of the Lord and other devotees, only by the mercy and through devotional service, the Lord says, a devotee can understand me as I am, right? So therefore, that's how we get bhakti, and that gives us full protection because we become absolutely free of any influence of the modes of material nature. Okay, let's continue.
activities in bhakti appear to be like ordinary activities, but they are not contaminated. An ignorant person may see that a devotee is acting or working like an ordinary man, but such a person with a poor fund of knowledge does not know that the activities of the devotee or of the Lord are not contaminated by impure consciousness
So
or
what is impure consciousness? So when it is said that the devotee of the Lord, the activities of the devotee of the Lord are not contaminated by impure consciousness or matter, how do we know that it's not contaminated? It's free of what?
Free of will? Oh,
Yeah, so the activities, they become, how do you know that the activities are not contaminated by the matter? What will be the
it may be
symptom?
in the mode of goodness.
So can you give an example? What kind of?
When you're doing something for the benefit of others. So like for it's an example.
like cooking for your family?
Cooking for your family, yeah. So this is in the mode of goodness. It's still contaminated by the matter because mode of goodness is also material, right? So what is the difference between the consciousness that is under the influence of the matter and the consciousness which is free of that contamination?
Is it when it's not contaminated, it's like you're fully just doing it for Krishna
Yes.
because you want to?
Uh-huh. Yes, that's very close. So you're doing it for Krishna. In other words,
Bhakti?
what is the priority for you? Well, if
Like
you're doing it for Krishna.
service?
Yeah, so the soul, yes, the living being, it's motivated by desires and feelings. So what kind of motivation would be there?
Your love for Krishna?
Yes, so motivate, like a pure soul is motivated to satisfy the senses of the Lord. Okay? Contaminated consciousness is motivated to satisfy our own senses. It's me, it's about me, it's myself.
Okay.
It's a hand that would like to feed itself without putting the food into the mouth.
Yeah.
Okay? So basically, it is mistakenly considered individuality. All of us are individuals, right? But contaminated consciousness considers I am separate. I can enjoy only when I take things for myself. All right. While pure soul understands if I satisfy the Lord because I am a part of this whole, single whole being, right? I will be happy only when the whole is happy. Okay. If the body is sick, we can't feel that the stomach is not sick, right? The whole body feels sick. If one part is in pain, the whole body feels sick. Same as here. Yeah. Okay, so that's the difference. The pure soul is happy when satisfies the senses of the Lord. The soul, the living entity with which is conditioned, right? Which is under the influence of material modes of material nature, looks for happiness through the satisfaction of their own senses. Okay, and it's called, like, we can call it selfishness, or so this is the difference. Okay, let's continue.
They are transcendental to the three modes of nature. We should know, however, that at this point our consciousness is contaminated.
Yes. So once we on the level of bhakti, once we are on the level where we want to satisfy the Lord, and this is the priority for us, and this is what makes us happy, then we become transcendental, means above the modes of material nature. We're not influenced by those modes of material nature. Okay, next paragraph.
We are materially contaminated. We are called conditioned. False consciousness is exhibited under the impression that I am a product of material nature.
So this is very important part here. So when we're materially contaminated, we are called conditioned. Okay, that conditioned, when we are conditioned, we develop false consciousness. Our consciousness, we do not perceive ourselves as we are. We're spirit souls, right? But we become under the impression that I'm a product of material nature. I am this body. I am this job. I am this position. I'm nothing without this house. I'm nothing without this friend. I'm nothing without this guy. I'm nothing without my marriage. So this is contaminated consciousness when a person identifies falsely himself or herself with the material nature. I'm a product of material nature. I am this body. Okay. But then when the body and soul are separate from each other, like when soul leaves the body, living entity goes, right? And people are trying to make the body alive, but putting different ingredients into the body, but the body doesn't come alive. So life doesn't come from matter. Okay, it's from the spirit. Therefore, we're not the product. That's why it's called false consciousness. Okay, let's continue.
This is called false ego. One who's absorbed in the thought of bodily conceptions cannot understand his situation. Bhagavad Gita was spoken to liberate one from the bodily conception of life, and Arjuna put himself in this position in order to receive this information from the Lord.
So let's see the benefits of this opportunity. If we understand that we are not this body, if we are liberated from the bodily conception of life, what do you think will change in our life? What do you think will become possible for us?
We wouldn't be so attached to our body and our looks.
Yeah, and let's consider critical situations, because when we are enjoying our body, there is nothing, there is no problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're healthy, we're beautiful, and all is well. But let's say if there is a loss of money, or if there is a loss of a friend, a loved one.
Mm-hmm.
So what becomes possible for us if we are liberated from the bodily conception of life?
We would be like, we'd have closure because we know like the body wasn't dead.
And like maybe like less suffering because like you're not associating yourself, because like when you get older, like you get sick and like your body starts deteriorating, so then you feel like you have more problems and stuff. So I guess if you don't like are not heavily attached on the body, you're able to realize that like
That's just
there,
life.
yeah, and there's a you're like connected to your soul in a sense.
Exactly. So let's compare two situations, a bodily associated person, right? And the person is getting old and the body is becomes dysfunctional. How would the person feel if he's not liberated from the bodily conception of life?
He could feel like depressed, even maybe like something happened to their looks or and then they get really sad because they think like, oh, my life is like ruined now.
Exactly. They may even lose the sense of life, right? They may feel hopeless, disabled, not needed, lonely, unloved, and etc. Yeah, because their point, their foundation was their body. And now that foundation is going away,
Yeah.
disappearing slowly, right? So it's a very dangerous situation for our consciousness because people feel themselves in crisis when any critical situation comes, when they lose something material, they feel in crisis because of their false association with the matter. Okay, now let's see how would the person who's liberated from this bodily conception of life would feel in case of old age, loss of something. What would be the difference?
They would be understanding, accepting, and they'd be able to have the knowledge to realize that it's not abnormal or it doesn't change like their who loves them or who they are. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you think will give them that acceptance? What kind of feeling? If you're unhappy, can you accept the loss? If you are unhappy,
No.
if you are sad, if you are depressed, can you accept easily? No, right? Yes. But if, for example, you found the happiness within, not in the body,
Mhm.
but within your spirit, and the body is going away, how will you feel?
Maybe more at peace.
Yes, more at peace, and it's easier to accept,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, because you don't feel that you're losing something big. It's not you. It's like a clove. Yeah. And when somebody goes away, for example, if there is a loss of a loved one and you are liberated from that bodily conception of life, how would you perceive the situation?
You would be able to cope with their death more because it was just like their body wasn't them and that their soul is still out there.
Exactly. And what else will become possible for you if you know that the soul is out there and the body is anyways temporary? So the relationship is not identified through the body, right? It's between souls. So what becomes possible for you in that case when you have this understanding?
I guess you know that they're still like going to live on further. Like they're not their body coming to an end is not their who they are and who their soul is coming to an end, and they're still existing somewhere else.
Okay. Yes, perfect. Basically, yes, you will understand that the connection is not broken,
Mhm.
that you still have the relationship. You cannot just touch the person the way you did, right, in the past, but still the person is still there. They're getting in your body, and you will continue having this connection. You will keep them in your memory. They're not dead. It's not a loss. It's just you cannot see them the way they were. Okay, they changed their appearance. Yeah. So do you see the difference? Let's conclude now. It's 8:44. What are you taking with you from our discussion today?
I learned about like the material modes, so ignorance, passion, and goodness. And I learned how like little like how even food or like our actions all affect um which mode we're in and how they can all correlate together and get intertwined.
Perfect. How do you think it can help you in your daily life?
Um, I think you can like maybe now it'll be easier to realize like um when we are in like modes of like ignorance and passion, and we can realize that like we're being a little bit controlled, and to remember to be like in the mode of goodness more.
Mhm, exactly. How will it help you to understand the consequences? Because when we put ourselves under the modes of material nature, we can expect certain things to come, right? Yeah. So how will it help you to navigate through life if you somehow choose a certain mode of material nature, what you can do actually. What is your freedom of choice then?
Well, I feel like if you're in the mode of goodness, like as you said, like knowledge is to come, wisdom, good health, I feel like that would be motivating factors. Whereas if you're in the mode of ignorance, like you said, not in good health, can like necessarily like more like negative things are to occur.
Exactly. Yeah. So by cultivating good health, right? By living clean life,
Yeah.
by practicing good habits, we actually we put ourselves under the mode of goodness where we can change things. If we want to change things, so rule number one, we need to be under the mode of goodness. And then when we see different consequences that hurt us, that makes us unhappy, right? It means that the mode of passion or ignorance is influencing. Then we need to calculate where did we make the wrong choice so that we can fix it. And it's easy to do through food, through what we see, what we hear, what we read, how we communicate, with whom we associate. Okay, perfect. What else are you taking from today's class?
I'm taking away like the talk about the bodily conception, because I think that in my life, like I find it easy to connect the person with their body. So I think it's just like learning to disconnect those two, because they're different things, and like understanding more that when I look at someone, it's not their body I'm looking at, it's like our soul that has the relationship versus what we look like.
Exactly. Yes. When we build a relationship, we build it with the living entity, and our body is an instrument that we use in a relationship because through the body we can communicate. If you don't see the body, right, you cannot talk to the person. So we need that body in order to connect with people, but we are connecting. The connection actually happens between the souls.
Yeah.
It's like through the phone, right? It's also an instrument. We cannot say, I'm this phone because I'm talking on the phone, or I'm this computer because I'm using it to connect with you. I'm not this computer. I'm using this computer to connect with you. So, same with the body. I'm using this body to connect with someone. Yeah, yeah, that's good observation. All right. And how about you? Are you taking anything from the class today?
I learned what like false ego is,
Mm-hmm.
and that how like it's when you're under the impression that you're a product of material nature.
Yes. And this is actually the root cause of the problem because once we identify ourselves with the matter, we attract the modes of material nature. We start acting in the wrong way, not in the wrong way, in the way which is not true for us. And we get entangled in karma. So that false ego is actually the root cause. This is the consequence of materially contaminated consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
participation in the class, and we'll see you next time in 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for your time.
Thank
Okay,
you.
bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.